Hello, welcome folks to the Vodka 2021. So, me and Hemant are going to share some of our knowledge on how do we test the Kafka systems. So, let me just introduce myself quickly. So, my name is Tejas, and I have around 6+ years of experience in software development and testing, and I'm associated with ThoughtWorks past 1 year. Hemant, would you like to
Yeah,
give your introduction?
thanks, Tejas. Hello, everyone. I'm Hemant. I have total 12 years of experience in testing, and it's almost 1 year in ThoughtWorks now. You can continue, Tejas.
Yeah, thanks. So today, as I said, we will be sharing some of our knowledge on how do we test Kafka systems. So let's get started. So agenda for today's talk would be, we will be sharing our knowledge on what exactly is Kafka, then how do the Kafka systems work with the help of some event flow diagram, then some of the key concepts of Kafka. Then after giving you brief understanding of the Kafka, then we will come back to the main topic of this talk is how do we test the systems who are built using Kafka. So we will be sharing some use cases, testing use cases with you. And then for this demo, we have developed a small application. So it's a basic application developed in Kafka. So we will be using that application for testing. So we will be showing some of how do we test the Kafka systems functionally. And then we also have some of the automation use cases for you. Okay, so going further. So basically, what is Kafka? So as per the definition of Kafka, it's a distributed streaming platform. So let's just bifurcate this statement to better understand it. So what are streams basically? So streams are nothing but just infinite data, maybe a data that never ends, the data which keeps on coming. Okay, and with the help of that data, you can either process that data or you can use that data in a real time. So the other part of the definition is a distributed. So as I said, Kafka is a distributed system. So when I say it's a distributed, so Kafka works in a cluster. So each cluster has some brokers. So you can associate brokers with servers. So Kafka works in a distributed system where there are many servers who are working simultaneously. So in a simpler terms, you can say that Kafka is a set of machines working together, which are able to handle and process real-time infinite data. Okay, so just going over the slides, as I mentioned, it's a distributed publish and subscribe messaging system. So there is a little brief history about the Kafka. So Kafka was created, developed by LinkedIn. So though now it's an open source project, but it is mainly maintained by a private company called as Confluent. As the Kafka comes under the Apache Software Foundation, that's why it is Apache Kafka. Okay, so these are some of the benefits or advantages of Kafka. So it has got a better throughput, high throughput, you can say. Then it has got replication and inherent fault tolerance. So it also has got a built-in partitioning. So while going forward, I will try to help you understand what are these benefits. So as I said, we will try to explain the working of a Kafka through an event flow diagram. So So there is a source system, then there are some producers, then there is a Kafka, then there are some brokers, then there are some zookeepers, then there are some consumers, and there is finally a system who consumes the data. So as you can see, there is a source system. The producer sends this record to the Kafka cluster, which has got brokers and zookeepers. Then this Kafka cluster holds on this data, and then they pass on the data to the consumers, and then the consumers pass on that data to the target system, whoever requires that data. So in the diagram, you can see there are various elements. So for example, there are something called as producers, there is something called as brokers, then there are some consumers. So I will try to explain those in a simple terms. So producers are nothing but those client applications that publishes data to the Kafka clusters. Okay, and there are some consumers. So consumers are nothing but those applications who read and process those events. Okay, then there are some brokers. As I said, you can associate brokers with servers. So there are some servers in the Kafka cluster, and then there is a zookeeper. So in simple terms, you can say that zookeeper is used to manage all those brokers. So these are some of the elements in this flow. Going forward, we will come across some other elements. Okay, so to understand it more better, we can go through the real life example that how and where this is used. So you must all be aware of a streaming platform called Netflix. So Netflix uses these Kafka systems. So what it does is it uses this to process the real-time events and then some kind of reporting. Then there are some systems who consume those data and then do some of the other jobs. Okay, so for example, if you go to the Netflix and you try to see any of the web series or movies, you click on that web series and you start saying that, then you will notice that you will get some of the other recommendations for some other web series or movies which are of similar genre to which one you are saying currently. So I think what the Netflix does is it captures the real-time interaction of the users and then it processes it, and then there are some systems who consumes these events and then they show you some of the recommendations which are similar to the genre. So this is some of the real-time example which I came across when I try to know more about the Kafka. And also one more thing which I would like to take your attention is as you can see here the producers and consumers are fully decoupled and agnostic of each other. So this is one of the key design of Kafka, which helps it to achieve the high scalability, and which is what the Kafka is known for. When I say the producers and consumers are decoupled or they're agnostic of each other, I mean that the producers can produce at their own pace, and the consumers, whenever the event data is available, they can consume at their own pace as well. So these two are not dependent on each other. So that's what I wanted to point out. So my next slide would be some other use cases of Kafka. Sorry for this. So the origin, as I said, that the Kafka is used in some of the big companies or the tech giants like LinkedIn, Netflix, Spotify, etc. So the original use case of the Kafka in LinkedIn was that Kafka was used to track the real-time user activity. Like if you go to the LinkedIn, then what all page you visit and what all searches you do, and some other actions the user may take on the website. Then this information was passed on to the real-time processing system or maybe real-time monitoring. And then there were some of the reports which used to get generated out of that. So this was the basic use case of the Kafka when it was used first in the LinkedIn. And other real-time use cases, you can say that whichever system which needs to process and react to the huge chunk of data, the Kafka comes into rescue for that system. So these are some of the systems where Kafka can be used. Apart from that, recently I have also observed that the banking and financial domain is using much of a Kafka, as there are lakhs and lakhs of transactions which are getting generated in every day. So the Kafka is also used in those types of applications. And yes, and obviously the Kafka is also used for collecting and aggregating the performance logs across various microservice environment. So as I explained in an event flow diagram, there are some producers and there are so many consumers. So each consumers can consume whatever the logs are produced on the Kafka systems, and then they can process those logs and they can be useful for their own application in some or the other way. So core considerations when you look for the Kafka are, first, as I said, there are multiple consumers who could read from a distributed log at their own pace. So as I explained that as there are many consumers, there can be many consumers. So each consumer can read at their own pace. And the other thing, that the consumers do not interact with each other. So suppose there are multiple consumers and then they are reading the same set of data, then they don't interact with each other. And one more point which I would like to specify is once the data is produced onto the Kafka cluster, by default, it resides there for 7 days. So obviously by default, it's 7 days and it's configurable. So you can configure according to your needs. And one more thing which is beneficial in Kafka is the data is not lost. So there is also a technique of replication of data. So once the data is produced to the Kafka cluster, the data gets replicated and in some or the other fashion, and then the data is not lost. So this is one of the key benefits of Kafka. So I will hand over to Hemant to take us all through some of the other key concepts of Kafka. Over to you, Hemant.
Thanks, Tejas. Can I share my screen, Tejas?
Yeah, sure.
Sorry. Yeah. I hope you can see my screen now.
Yes, Hemant.
Yes.
Okay. So as Tejas has explained about the Kafka architecture, like we have the Kafka producer, consumer, and the brokers. But what is inside the broker? Broker are basically are the servers where all this information is stored and processed. In the broker, what we have is the topics. And what is a topic? Is a stream of data identified by its name. So normally, when you talk about database terms, we have tables where the information is stored, and every table has its name based on the purpose it serves, right? For example, if you take a shipment kind of service which we are talking about, we'll have a table which stores the shipment information. Similarly, so we'll have the name of that as shipment table. Similarly, topic will have a name called shipment events topic, where we will store the information of all the shipments which are happening. After the topics which are they're further divided into partitions. So the partitions are basically which the topics are divided into, and why the topics are divided into multiple partitions, so that the producers can produce in parallel to the partitions. Also, the consumers can consume those informations in parallel. If we have only one partition on a topic, the producer and the consumer will be restricted to consume those information in a serial way from one partition only. But if we scale our broker, where one topic is partitioned into multiple partitions, the information can be produced in parallel and also can be consumed. So this partitioning basically provides us the scalability through which we can the information can be processed faster. And further, all these partitions are having offset. So offset is the smallest element in this Kafka cluster where the information is basically stored. So if you see offset number 0, 1, 2 are basically the information of about the shipment events which we're getting throughout the journey. So and these information which are stored on partition, let's say partition 0 has some information about partition offset number 0, offset number 1 and 2, and this information is not related to any way in information of partition 1. They are not it doesn't say which information came first, which came second. They are not related to each other because topics, they write this information in round robin fashion, random way in those partitions, and similarly consumers consume them. If we want to, so there is another way that a topic can write to a single partition and the information can be in sequential way. So for let's say we're talking about a certain service or application where we need to store this information in a sequential way, the sequence should not be lost. There we need to use a key. So basically this information what you're writing on the offset is based on the key value, and the key is ID. If you provide an ID to the information, all those information associated with an ID will go to single partition and those will remain in sequence. So offsets are messages in partitions that are stored in sequential order called offsets. And these consumer groups can consume those information at their own pace, as Tejas already explained that the producers and consumers are not related at all. They can produce and consume at their own pace. So consumer group is basically a concept where multiple consumers are grouped together. If there are only one consumer in this consumer group, it will consume from these partitions some information from partition 0, some from partition 1, some from partition 2 based on the information is available. But if there are more consumers, let's say we have 3 consumers at this point. So one consumer will be assigned to each partition and those information can be read in parallel. Okay, so that's how it provides the concurrency to the system. In this event, let's say one of the consumer goes down, right? It's possible that we have shut down one of the consumer rebalancing happening. Rebalancing in the sense the remaining 2 consumers will then start processing those remaining information from the available partitions. So that is how the consumer rebalancing happening. I think if you must have heard about the rebalancing. I'll go further. Event flow. So what information I just shared with you, I'll just give a little more illustration on this information. Let's say we're talking about a topic which is an event topic. Let's consider it's a shipment event topic, and on this shipment event topic we have 2 partitions where the informations are coming. So shipment information 1 came on partition 2 and shipment information 2 came on partition 1. Similarly 3 and 4, they came in round robin way from the producer. So this information is where it is being produced as a shipment information. They are as a producer, clients are producing those informations to these topics. And now this information is ready to be consumed by any of the service, any of the consumers basically. So let's say this information, when talking about the shipment, right? This shipment information can be consumed by some of the services which process information and store this shipment information in the database. Some services they are they use for tracking purpose. So some tracking services will consume this information. Some customer services application will consume this information, or aggregation services. So this information can be consumed by any number of consumers in the parallel. So I'm taking example of 2 consumers. One consumer group has 2 consumers, which will be each consumer will be assigned to a single partition, and consumer 1 is consuming all the information from partition 1, and consumer 2 is reading information from partition 2. So this is happening in parallel. So whatever information is coming, they are consumed here. If there's another consumer group which also subscribe to this topic, but it has only 1 consumer, it will be reading the information round robin way, some information from 1, some from partition 2, and the sequence is not guaranteed. It can be 1, 2, 3, 4, it can be 1, 3, 2, 4, based on way it reads the information from those partitions. So there can be many more consumer groups based on. So there is a concept called offset. I'll go through probably in my demo. So based on the offset where the last information was read from any of the partition, from the next offset, the information will be read. So that is how those consumer groups maintains their state, maintains their offset, that which is the next information they have to read from the partition. So let's say there are more information coming, 8, 9, 10, those will be written to these partitions and will be consumed later. So I'll move to the demo, but so I'll just explain the application which we're going to use for demo today. Let's say we're talking about a service, ABC Mart service. So ABC Mart is a retail mart which has its presence all over the globe. And whenever there's a sale happening at any of its mart location, it produces a sales event, and sales event is the JSON information. It has a product ID. You can see it has a price, it has a number of quantity purchased and the event number. So the producers as a client will produce this information to the Kafka bus. So these sale events are written to a topic called sale event. So for our demo today, we are consuming a service, ABC Mart service, and one topic, sale event. And this ABC Mart service will process information and it will write this information to a processed event topic. And the processed event topic is processed events are basically the information related to product ID, total sale, and event number. So this service, ABC Mart service, is what it's just doing is multiplying the price into quantity and producing a processed event. So you can consider this ABC Mart service as a consumer to sales event topic. So this is a basically service which is consuming the sales event, and after processing this information, it is producing another event to the processed event. And our testing, for our testing purpose, we will be having two clients. One client on the producer client, which is producing sales event information, and another client as a consumer client, which will be consuming those processed events. I hope the application is clear, what we are going to demo today. So some of the functional use cases which we can have in the testing are basically whether we have produced a record to a particular partition. So what we can test in a functional testing, that the information what we wrote is currently produced to the partition or not. We're able to produce or consume those records. Number of records written to a topic or fetched from a topic, sending and receiving APRO or JSON. So they can be different types of messages which can be produced and consumed through Kafka. We'll be taking the example of JSON as we show, and we can assert the outcomes, asserting the DL queue, dead letter queues. Basically, whenever there is an error happening, these informations are written to DL queue, dead letter queue, which can be later used based on the business, how they want to reprocess those information. And the record metadata. Record metadata is a concept basically when a producer client writes some information to a topic, it can expect some acknowledgement from the topic, and the record metadata basically contains the information related to which topic, which partition, which offset this record was written. So it can, the acknowledgement, there are certain acknowledgement strategy, like acknowledgement 0, 1, and all. 0 means it doesn't need any acknowledgement from any of the partition. 1 means it needs acknowledgement only from the leader, and all means it expects an acknowledgement from all the leader and the follower. Another use case can be retry of message in the event of failure. So these are some of the use cases which can be possible in the functional testing. And what use case we'll be doing today, I'll just explain again the test cases. The first test case we'll do is we'll produce a sale event from here, producer, and we'll consume that event from the sale event topic, like the ABC Mart service is doing. So that's the first test case. We'll see that that event is correctly produced on sale event. Second test case will do that when the event is produced on the sale event, it is processed by ABC Mart service, and we can consume that event on the processed event. Okay, so that we'll start a consumer here and we'll consume this. Third test case will do that we'll associate our consumers to a consumer group, and we'll see that those consumer, using those consumer groups, we can reset the offsets, and we can read the information we can replace some of the information if we want, or how the offsets are retained by the consumer groups. So these are some of the use cases we'll see in the demo. So I'll switch to the demo now. Okay. Yeah. So basically, I'll just give a brief overview how you install and how you start. So when you on a local machine, you can install the Kafka, and when you install, you see this folder Kafka, some with the version you have, and you see such of the directories like config directory, data logs. So in order to start the Kafka, we need to have two important things. One is Zookeeper, one is Kafka server. Without Zookeeper, Kafka server cannot be started. Kafka servers are basically which are processing those information. So I need to start a Zookeeper, and those clients are provided by the Kafka installation itself. So Zookeeper server start is basically the command, and what config it needs to use is a zookeeper.properties. So whatever Zookeeper properties having the information, it will have information related to the IP where we need to start the Zookeeper, and the port numbers and some of the other information. I'll not start here. I'm just showing how do we do it. So Zookeeper server start, using this command, we can start our Zookeeper. And after doing Zookeeper server start, we can also do a Kafka server start, and using config server.properties, where the Kafka broker server properties can be configured. It will have information related to broker ID, port, the different message sizes configuration can have here. Okay, so I'm not starting those Kafka in Zookeeper, because for our demo we have as I explained, the ABC Mart service, right? So ABC Mart service is listening. I'll just explain this ABC Mart service. So sale event is basically where we are consuming those information on as a JSON, like product ID, price, quantity, and event number. And after processing this information, we are producing a processed event here. So that is a processed event. And our ABC Mart service is basically listening to a sale event topic. So event is already created. And after processing that, it is writing this information to processed event. And for this demo, we have also a Docker Compose file where through which we can start the Zookeeper and Kafka. So it's the same way like I showed in my terminal how we start a Zookeeper server or Kafka server. We for demo, I'm using as a these containers as part of my service itself, and you can see that both the containers are already running. So one is Kafka, one is Zookeeper. They both are running on my local now. And as I explained, the Zookeeper is running on port number 2181 and Kafka is running on port number 9092 by default. So I will log into the Kafka container basically and show you some of the basic commands. Sorry. Yeah, I'll show you the different topics which are currently present on my system. So let me clear this. So currently I have a sale event created on my system. I think so when my service is producing something to processed event, I will be able to see the processed event also. I'll first show you how do we create a topic for a testing purpose. Let's say you want to create a separate topic. How do you create it? I have a command ready. So there's a command called Kafka topics.sh, as you can see on my screen. We need to provide to which Bootstrap server, basically Kafka server, it is referencing to. We are referencing to the localhost 9092, as we have started our Kafka on localhost 9092. You can see in my Docker Compose file. The topic I'm trying to create is a test topic just for demo. And the replication factor is 1. Replication factor is basically in case of failure, let's say if you want to process information, how do we achieve that, right? How do we retrieve? So we have to create a replication of those Kafka servers, these topics across the servers. But in order to create a replication, I need to have another Kafka server. On the same Kafka server, I cannot create a replication factor. So it's 1, and I'm creating 3 partitions. So if I create this topic, I can describe this topic. So it has created the topic now. I can describe this topic. Okay. Yeah. So this is a command to describe a topic. You can see what is the characteristics of the topic. So with the topic I just created, as we gave in the command, it has 3 partitions. replication factor as 1 because we have only one broker ID. The topic name is test topic 1, partition 0. It has 3 partitions as we created: partition 0, partition 1, partition 2. And where is the leader partition? Leader partition is present on the broker ID. So this is a broker ID where my leader is present. The broker ID is Kafka broker ID 10001. It has to be a unique integer value, Kafka ID. Replication factor. So my replicas, since I have only one replica, there are no replicas at all. So that is also present on the same broker ID, and the ISR in sync replica is also this on same broker ID. So this is some of the information we can see about the topic, like what are the different partitions, who all are the leaders, what are the replicas about it. And since we added another topic, probably I can show you by running another command, same the list of the topic, that the new topic which we created is present here. So this is something about how do we create a topic. Now let's go on testing our test scenarios as I explained you. I'll start a producer client through which I will I'll produce the information to the sale event topic. So I'm now here. So my sale event topic is already created, as you can see. I'm starting a producer, Kafka console producer on this topic. Okay. So here now it's a client where I can write information to, and I'll start a consumer on the sale event topic. As my first test case, as I told you, that the information I'm trying to produce, I'm able to consume that event as a consumer from the topic. So here I'm starting a consumer, Kafka console consumer, a reference to same Bootstrap server, and the topic is sale event. So let's take the sample JSON event which we had seen in our PPT. I'll produce a sale event. It has a product ID, price, quantity, and event number. If I produce this event, I should be able to consume it. So you can see that the consumer I'm running on this event, sale event, I'm able to consume that. So if I go back to my PPT and just show you what we have just tested. Yeah, so we have produced an event from here on sale event topic, and I'm able to consume that event from this as a ABC Mart service or any other consumer. Okay, I've just tested that. Let's do another test where we are talking about the information being processed also by this ABC Mart service, and we'll consume it on the consumer on the processed event side. So let me start another consumer for the processed event here. Give me a minute, I'll just copy the command. So the consumer command is exactly the same, just that the topic name is different here. So you can see console consumer, Bootstrap server, localhost 9092, and the topic is processed event. So as a second test, let's produce another event. I'm producing another event here, which has some product ID, some price, some quantity, and event number. And if I produce that, now I should be able to see that it's consumed on the sale event and also should be consumed on the processed event. Okay, so this information is processed, and before I actually didn't I didn't tell about that. This ABC Mart service is already running. So I've started this application. You can see basically what we are talking about. So ABC Mart service is already running, and it's able to consume the sale event and able to process and provide a processed event. So this you talked about one event, but in a real time systems, those informations run in thousands or 100K per second, or based on the sales this ABC Mart has. So these information will keep flowing in that way. We can consume those events in same, for our testing purpose, we can probably test one or many number of transactions. Let's take the third test case where we told that we'll associate with a consumer group, and we'll see we're able to consume them also on a consumer group. So I'll start a consumer group also. So unless a consumer is not associated with the consumer group, we cannot reset the offset because it doesn't have that information. Now I'm listening to the same processed event topic, and I'm associated with a group called demo consumer group. And if I produce any more information now, you should be able to, so let me produce another event and see that this information is also produced and can be consumed by the consumer group which we have started. Yeah, so our demo consumer group is able to consume this information And basically, when we start a consumer group, it starts listening from that event, unless we provide another. There are more config we can provide us like from beginning or whatever. But in this case, they start listening from the information which we have. So while starting, it goes to the event, the offset where it was currently present. So this is how I can produce more events. And let's say so what we are currently seeing here is, if you see my local, this terminal 3 is also a consumer, which is also listening the same event. And also local, this terminal is also consuming the same event. So what in this way, what we can see, this whatever information is written on this processed event topic, it can be consumed by any number of services which wants to consume this information. Let's say for database purpose or tracking purpose or whatever information, these can be consumed by any number of services. Yeah. So let's say I stop my consumer group now, and I produce some more. Let me produce a duplicate information itself. I produced some more. I produced 3 more events. And I describe my consumer. So there's a command to describe the consumer group also. Let me just describe it, and we can see how the offset information can be verified and tested. So I'm trying to describe my consumer group now. So if I describe it, as you know that after stopping the consumer group, I produced 3 more events, right? So there is a lag of 3 events. The total log end offset is 6, but the current offset is 3. So if whenever I start my consumer group again, I will be able to consume those information. So those information is not lost because of the offset information we have stored on the consumer group. So if I start my consumer group now, I will be able to consume the rest of 3 events which are present on the topic. So you can see all those informations which we had already produced, but due to offset, we are able to consume them. So this is how those information can be, we can say it's a durable because they are written on the written on disk, right? And on those information can be consumed through the offset. And let's say we want to replay some of the information, since I have already consumed this and I want to replay some of the information for the demo consumer group, I can test that as well. So in order to replay that, there are certain commands to reset the offsets. I'll show the command for reset offsets. Yeah, so you can see this command here. Kafka consumer groups, bootstrap server localhost. Reset offset is the option which we are providing, and we are providing shift by -2. So it will shift the index to -2. So that means I want to replay the last 2 event information again, and on which topic I can provide is a processed event, and the group name is demo consumer group. So if I execute this command, again we are shifted back to the 2 more offsets. So if I describe if I start my consumer again, we are able to replay that information. Okay. So there are many more such options which can be used. There's another way. So if I describe my consumer group now, let me just describe it once. Yeah. We have no more lag of information because we have consumed everything. There's another command where we can reset all of them. Let's say for some purpose, we want to replay all of them. I'm just showing another one. So there's a command called reset offset to the earliest. Yeah, so this command, you can see that reset offsets to the earliest, or for that matter, we can through this offsets, we can start from any of the offset. But if I do reset offsets to earliest, now you can see the new offset is set to 0 again. And if I describe my consumer group, I can I reset the offset to earliest. 1 minute. And if I it has a current offset is 0. Okay. So if I start my consumer now, if I start the reading again, it's not able to read. Let me run the earliest command again, probably. Okay, sorry. So the earliest I gave a different consumer group name. So my mistake. That's why the offset was not reset to the starting one. My consumer group name is a different one, demo consumer group. So if I give a demo consumer group, yeah. And now if I describe it again, there is a lag of 6, and I can read all of them again. Yeah. So through offsets, basically we can test we can replay the information. We can so this helps in automation way also. So in automation, Tejas will walk us through the automation cases. But in automation, let's say we are producing multiple events at the same time, but we want to consume it later or at any point. We can play it around through offsets. And that's it from the manual testing side. I'll hand it over to Tejas to continue on the automation side. I'll stop sharing, Tejas.
Yeah, thanks, Hemant. So as Hemant mentioned, I'll walk you all through some of the automation cases which we have written. So basically, we have this small framework, which is a TestNG based framework, and we have some of the other utilities which we normally have. So we have these two model classes, processed and cell event, similar to what Hemant demonstrated for the ABC Mart application. Then we have a JSON serializer. So in order to serialize the producer, or maybe if you want to have consumed event in JSON, you can also have a consumer JSON serializer for consumer. Then the main part is this. So we have these two utility classes. One is for the consumer and one is for the producer. So as Hemant mentioned it during the functional flow, this is the Bootstrap server where Kafka runs. So we need to provide the server where the Kafka is running. So for me, it's localhost 9092. So also you need to provide the serializing mechanism for the key and value. So for us, means while we are producing, we want key to be serialized in a string format and the value to be serialized in the JSON format. So we need to provide those two things. And in consumer also, we need to provide some of the properties, like if you have any consumer group, then you need to provide the ID for the consumer group. Again, you need to provide the Bootstrap server. And the same we need to provide for consumer as well, in which format you want to consume those events. So for us, as we will be asserting those values, so we are consuming those in a string fashion. So we have a string deserializer for key and value. And as Hemant mentioned, for the auto offset reset config, we have set it to the earliest. So apart from earliest, we also have, I guess, a couple of options, like you can set it to the latest. And if you set it to the none, then it throws some of the other exception that no previous offset was found for the consumer. So this information, you can get it from the Kafka website. They have mentioned everything related to the producer and consumer API. So we have these two classes where there are configs related to the producer and consumers. Then we have written one sales class, so where all our test cases are written. So basically, whatever you have seen in the manual functional testing, we have tried it to automate those test cases. So the first test is somewhat like we are producing an event to the topic, and we are checking whether whatever the event we are produced, we are able to consume that event in the same fashion or not. Means if you are producing an event with a product ID ABC1001, And while consuming, we are checking that whether we are getting that event, the same event which we are producing or not. The second test case which we have written is where we are producing an event, then that event is getting processed, and then the application is producing the processed event to the process topic. And then we are verifying, then we are consuming that process event topic. And then we are verifying whether whatever we are processing is the one which we are expecting or not. So it's just a simple calculation that we are getting the price and the quantity. So we are multiplying it and we are checking it against whatever event we are consuming. So, and the third test case we have written for the offset one. So the scenario here is once the event is consumed, then you need to reset the offset. But if you don't do that, then you won't be able to consume that event again. So if I run all these three test cases, the third one will get passed. But if I comment out the first two test cases where that event is getting consumed on a topic, then the third test case would get failed, as you would still have an event which needs to be consumed. So in order to execute this test case, I have the ABC Mart application, which is already running at my local end. So I have started here the consumer for the sales event. Then I have started, okay. So I have started both. I have started the same. Okay, this is the consumer for the sales event, and I need to start a consumer for the processed event as well. So let me just do that quickly. Okay, so we have both the consumers which are started in my local environment. So I will first execute the first test case, which will produce and consume the event at the sales event topic. So these are some of the Kafka related logs which you can disable. As you can see, the first test case is executed. We will go there and see whether exactly are we able to produce that event or not. Okay, so sorry. So this is the test case where we are consuming the event which we have produced. So we can see the event here, which is consumed, and exactly the same thing which we are doing in the automation test case. So we'll go back to the second test case where we are producing an event and then we are consuming the processed event topic. So again, we'll go there. And this is the second event which we have produced. And in the processed event, we have got this event as well. So we are cross-checking this, whether the total cell is matching what we are expecting in our second test. And the third test, as I explained, it's just validating whether we have consumed all the events or not. So we can execute the third test. So it is depending on this test. So the above test will get executed first and then this test will get executed. Okay, yeah. So these are the three test cases these are the three scenarios mainly which we covered using manual testing. So I also have one more scenario which we can see it quickly. So for example, for some reason your application is down or maybe it is not accepting anything. So what I will do, I will just close this application and I will run the test case which produces to the topic. And if I run all the three test cases, the first two test cases will get, first test case will get passed, while the second test case and the third test case would get failed. as the application is not running and the topic which this this test case is listening to is not there. So you can see that though the application is not running, as the Docker containers are running where the Kafka is there, so you are able to produce those events to that producer. Yeah, I think that's it. Means we had planned for the demonstration for the automation. Maybe I will just go back to the slides, to the last slide which we have. Okay, yeah, that's it we had. If you have any questions or any suggestions, or if you are doing the same thing in some other different way, then feel free to reach out to us.
Thank you. I mean, in this session, we have mainly focused on functional testing, but there are many more aspects related to like security testing or performance testing, which are not associated since it was just an introduction. But Kafka provides the config for all those security testing. It provides configs related to SSL or some of these key store we can configure on our producer, on consumer, both the sides. For performance testing also, there are some of the tools which are available like JMeter and all. We have not used them for the demo today, but there are other testings which are also possible for those Kafka systems. Yeah, thank you. Any questions? You're open to questions, yeah, if any.